What got you to start this media company out of Sharjah?
Sharjah is not the city of Sharjah that you just see today. It's much bigger than that. We're a data-driven company.
The numbers itself speak volumes.
We focused on making no revenue. We focused on just providing really valuable content. We are a positive news platform.
The support from the government is incredible for new businesses.
I think there's a misconception. AI is either making you money or it's saving you time. We want to provide value first. Revenue will follow as a byproduct.
What would you say was your biggest learning as an entrepreneur?
It's a secret.
Welcome to Rising Sharjah. Today we're joined by Saad Ahmed, the entrepreneurial force behind Local Sharjah and a key player in the region's media landscape. We'll dive into the creation and growth of Local Sharjah and how AI is revolutionizing the media business and why SPC Free Zone is the ideal base for media entrepreneurs. Welcome, Saad.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
Let's start off with the story behind Local Sharjah. What got you to start this media company out of Sharjah?
So that's a really great question. And the reason we started it in Sharjah was because we like to start media companies in cities where we feel there's a lot to do, but not a lot of awareness around it. And we felt that Sharjah is the type of place where there's a lot of tourist attractions. There's a lot of cultural stuff to do here. A lot of people know Dubai. A lot of people know Abu Dhabi. A lot of people know a lot of other cities in the region. And we felt Sharjah needed that type of exposure, and hence why we started Local Sharjah. And since its inception, it's done super well. So we're happy.
Could you tell us, how did you go about establishing the company in Sharjah?
We were on the lookout for a free zone that aligned a lot with our needs because we were based in Bahrain at the time and we weren't traveling here as often. We were really busy with our businesses there. And we found SPC Free Zone online, and we felt like the experience was super straightforward. It was easy to set up online without us having to be here. And all in all, it was a super straightforward and simple process. And we were set up, and we're still set up here for the last 3 years.
What were the challenges you faced as a new media company in a new market?
With media, and especially digital media, the thing that works really well is that we're a data-driven company. Whatever we've learned in Bahrain or in Saudi or elsewhere, wherever we've done business, we're able to apply that in this region too. So it's a copy-paste format that you learn from your own self. We didn't have a lot of challenges in terms of setting it up per se. I think from a legal perspective, it was super easy. I don't think there were any challenges per se to set up here. It's been super simple.
One thing we've learned about Local Sharjah is that you have some great partnerships that you have established, even with government entities like Sharjah Tourism. Could you throw some more light on how these partnerships enable you to, flourish in the region?
This is a story I tell to people around the region because we have Local Bahrain, we have Local Riyadh, and now Local Sharjah. And Sharjah has been the type of place that as soon as we launched, and I think we only had like 5,000 or 6,000 followers, Sheikh Abdur Al-Qasimi started following us like very early on. And she's been a massive supporter of ours. So she's been like DMing us, reposting our stuff. She's helped us in many ways get connected to a lot of these entities within Sharjah. Shuruk got in touch with us. Sharjah Tourism Authority got in touch with us. Sharjah Entrepreneurship Festival got in touch with us. It was very clear from the beginning that whatever business you do in Sharjah, it's very quick to become recognized by the government here in Sharjah and by the several entities that exist in Sharjah. And we've seen that through the invitations we've received, through the support and collaborations we've had with these entities. To your question around the type of business we've done with the tourism authorities, I think we're both aligned in the same sense that we're both trying to focus on one mission, which is to promote Sharjah tourism and promote Sharjah as a whole. And one of the things that most people don't know about Sharjah is not the city of Sharjah that you just see today. It's much bigger than that, all the way up to Khurfaqan. And so those were some of the initiatives we were focusing on. So we worked with Shuruk to go to Khurfaqan and go to all these places and try and provide exposure.
What strategies would you say work best to reach out to the government and to create such partnerships within Sharjah?
I think there's a misconception in the region in general that working with regional governments is difficult, it's challenging, reaching out to them is challenging, or actually any government in the world. But I think one of the things I found super encouraging about working in Sharjah is that the government here and the entities that exist here are super welcoming when it comes to new businesses and new initiatives related to Sharjah. There are no specific tips in the sense of, here are 5 things I think you should do in order to work with the government or in order to work with initiatives in Sharjah, except that if you bring in a quality product and if you're doing something that is truly beneficial to the economy of Sharjah, the government will recognize you. The leadership will follow you. The leadership will help you get to places that you want to. Sheikh Abdur Al-Qasimi, for example, has never said no to introducing us to anybody in the government sector, whether it's been tourism or whether it's been Shuruk or whether it's been whoever in the entities. And then her teams and their teams, whether it's American University of Sharjah or Sharjah Ladies Club, and we were just talking about that earlier. I think everyone's super welcoming and everyone's super encouraging to start businesses here. So we've had a great time and we look forward to continue to grow, because when you're in an ecosystem that supports you like this, it encourages you as a young entrepreneur to want to do more. When you're in an ecosystem where you're kind of unseen and unheard, you're sort of working in the dark. And I feel like Sharjah is not like that. And I say that with like complete honesty. That since we've started, we say this all across the region, that since we started, we've had like full support from everyone, even at times without asking for it.
In fact, the theme we have realized in Sharjah as well is that it's a great place for new businesses to grow and flourish. And the support from the government is incredible for new businesses. When we did a little more research about Local Sharjah, we found that AI is a very consistent theme in your content and what you do. So could you throw some light on what are the different AI tools and technologies that you use or that you prefer, or that are very core to the Local Sharjah business?
Great question. I think when it comes to AI, there's two things that we feel AI needs to solve. So AI is either making you money, saving you money, or it's saving you time. And so those are the two principles that we look at when we go into the content business in Sharjah or with Local Sharjah. And so some of the tools we use to save time are obviously tools that can create things like SEO techniques, things that human beings would generally take 5 or 6 hours to do that now you could do in like 5 minutes or 10 minutes. But then we won't create content from scratch, because you still need that human element of, this is a great place in Sharjah that you need to try out. Here are top 10 restaurants in Sharjah that serve the best Indian food or the best Thai food or whatever. And AI still isn't there. So I feel like we use a lot of really great AI tools to optimize stuff, but not really create stuff yet, just because AI is not there yet. So some of the tools are like Canva will have their own AI feature. You'll have something called Jasper.io, which will use SEO techniques that will embed into our website and things like that. So it's more into the analytics and more into the programming and coding side of it, rather than the actual content creation side of it. But I feel like once we get there where AI is really able to research local stuff to do, things to do, and really look at like live stuff, then we'll be able to enable that and hopefully scale our content even further.
But it's great that Local Sharjah has gotten onto the AI bandwagon even before most other brands, and even you could say competing brands to you, haven't. So it's incredible to hear that a business born out of Sharjah is, gone so much ahead of the curve and is now using AI. This brings me to my next question, which is, what made you decide to register your business in Sharjah?
The simple fact that our media company is focused on bringing content to Sharjah. So we don't exist in any other city in the UAE except Sharjah. We don't have a local Dubai. We don't have a local Abu Dhabi yet. One of our first entry points into the UAE was Sharjah. The main reason being is because Sharjah is a lot like Bahrain in the sense where it's very cultural. Like I said, there's a lot to do, and it's a growing ecosystem. And I feel like the leadership here are focused on the cultural aspect of the city, and there's just so much to talk about. Whereas a lot of the other places in other cities, a lot has already been spoken about. So we chose Sharjah for that reason.
What are your sources of news in Sharjah, and how do you curate your content?
Yeah, it's a great question. So one of the ways that we do this is that we have a really great content creation process in which we know what type of news to source. So we are a positive news platform. We don't do any negative news. So you'll never hear things like this bad thing happened. Instead, it'll always be positive, because we're not just in it for the shares and the views. We're really in it to capture like positivity in people's lives. And so the way we do it is there are two ways. Number one is that we have really great talent within Sharjah. As you know, American University of Sharjah is the best university regionally. It's been voted multiple times around, and the talent that comes out of there has been exceptional. So our chief editor who works for Local Sharjah is actually a graduate of American University of Sharjah. Her name is Shireen, and she's been spearheading our content in Sharjah since the inception. And we feel like when you have local talent that run a media company, then they can really talk about Sharjah or that city from a really authentic place. If you live here, you can say that this is the best place, or you can say these are the great things that you can do here. But if you're living somewhere else, it's very difficult to do that. So we have a team that's based within Sharjah, and they've been with us from inception. To your second question on how do we source news, there are a couple of ways. One, we have a direct relationship with Sharjah News Agency. So we get a lot of news directly from them. We'll get press releases, news, et cetera, et cetera. And then through our established relationships with different entities in Sharjah, we'll get news from them too. And then that's on the news side. But we don't just do news. We're also doing a lot of things around here. So if it's Eid, we'll do here are top 5 henna artists that you should check out this Eid because we know that's Eid, or here are top 5 abaya places you should check out. And then we'll cater that to whatever type of event is happening in that year, and we'll plan that. And so that type of content will come through like meticulous research. A lot of it is audience generated. So we have this series called You Asked, We Answered, where we'll say, hey guys, what are your top 5, cafes in Sharjah that you love? And we'll get hundreds of people in Sharjah that'll reply and say, this is our favorite. And we'll tally them up, check out which ones are the most popular, and then produce a list saying these are the top 10 best cafes in Sharjah. So it's a long and meticulous process that involves quite a lot of different layers. One's your news authority, the second is our content team, and then third is sort of user generated.
I really resonate with the point you said that no one knows a place better than the people who live there. And that seems to be working excellently in the case of Local Sharjah. Even in terms of user-generated content, the people who live here know the best cafes, so that will help other people who come to your page. Talking about your page specifically, could you tell us how is it that Local Sharjah makes its money? What is the revenue model that you're following?
Most media companies make their revenue through advertisement and ads through brand deals. We're very lucky that from the start, we were supported by Sharjah Tourism Authority. And then as we grew, it's come from a lot of Sharjah-related entities and brands. But for a very long time, I think for a year and a half, or 2 years, we focused on making no revenue. We focused on just providing really valuable content for Sharjah. And one of the reasons we felt that was important was because we wanted to come off as authentic as possible. If we were talking about top 10 best cafes in Sharjah, none of those cafes paid us to be on that list. And the reason why that was important for us was because we wanted to build that trust and engagement with our audience. And so we're very particular when it comes to the type of brand deals we'll do. So if we do a brand deal, you'll know it's a brand deal. But if it's organic, you'll also know it's organic, just so that you know that when we say this is the top 5, it truly is because that's what the people believe it is.
Which brings me to a very important question for new entrepreneurs or people looking to get into the media space. What would you say would be the top 3 tips you would give someone starting in the same sector as you?
Media is ever evolving. I think one of the things to note is that print media is on its way out, if it's not already out. 90% of people consume their content online. And so I think video is the place to be now. And I've spoken to Meta, I've spoken to a lot of people. 90% or 95% of content that is doing well today is video content. So I'd say focus on the video aspect of it and short form video. And that's where sort of the industry is heading in. We see this now with our Reels, our YouTube Shorts, TikToks. The second thing I would think about is really trying to provide value. A lot of people try and do content just because they want to get the views, the likes, the shares, and make money. But that comes as a byproduct of it. And some of the things I said earlier on was that we did Local Sharjah for a year and a half, 2 years before we made any revenue. And the reason why is because we wanted to provide value first. We did the same thing in Bahrain and we did the same thing in Riyadh. So I think the second tip would be before you even think about monetizing, think about how can you provide value to your audience and whether people are really going to love and like what you do, and then think about revenue second, because revenue will follow as a byproduct. And then I'd say that the third tip that I'd give is just perseverance and hard work. I know it sounds super cliche and a lot of people say this, but really the reason why some people are successful and some people are not is because most people give up before they're successful. And with content, it really is about perseverance. You'll spend 6 months, a year, 2 years with your content doing not well at all. And most people will give up at that point. And the people who really make it are people that just keep going. And that's basically what we did across all our platforms. And today we see in Bahrain about 30 million impressions a month. In Saudi, maybe 15 or 20 million impressions. Here we see about 2 or 3 million impressions. And we've grown to a company of almost 40, 50 people in just the last 3 or 4 years, all through literally just following the 3 things I've just said.
The numbers itself speak volumes, and it's exceptional what you've done in such a short span of time. But over this journey, what would you say was your one biggest learning, which, you feel this is what helped you make it over this journey of growing the company in the past 3 years, the numbers you've reached now? What would you say was your biggest learning as an entrepreneur?
I think in digital media, my biggest learning as an entrepreneur would probably be that we underestimate the value of collaborating with other people. And I think a lot of people try to do it solo and try to build a media company and just do it all by themselves, which is great. But as soon as you start collaborating with other content creators and start offering value to them too, it's sort of like a secret. It's like a secret mix that you add into your sort of formula and you just literally grow as fast as possible. And I think that's something that we did and we do here as well. So if we say top 10 henna artists, we'll tag each of those henna artists. We're not going to charge them for any of that. They'll get super happy because they've been promoted, business increases for them. And as a result, we all grow in that ecosystem. So I think that one tip is that if you want to really grow in the content space and the media space, is collaborate with other content creators and network with them as much as possible. Even in the early days, like DM them, talk to them, try and see how you can help other people out. Because by helping other people out, you will help yourself.
That's amazing to know. And just to realize that sometimes we just focus on our own growth, but the way to grow faster and what has worked for you is collaborating and growing with others. This brings me to the end of the podcast, and I have one final question. What is the next exciting or the next big thing for Local Sharjah?
We're launching a ticketing website called tickets.localsharjah.com. And the reason we're doing it is because we have a listicle now on Local Sharjah called Top 10 Things to Do This Weekend in Sharjah. And it's super popular. People love it. People go on it. And we feel like people still don't know how to do those things. Like, are they going, because after they read our article, they'll go on Google, they'll search for Khurfakan tickets or tickets to X and Y. So we're going to close that gap by selling tickets to those experiences and attractions around Sharjah. We've already launched it in Bahrain, and we launched it just a month ago. We sold Formula One tickets and some of the largest events in the country. And now we're going to be doing it in Sharjah, hopefully selling tickets to some of the best attractions and experiences here.
That is incredibly exciting for me, being a Sharjah local. And that's something I would definitely need in my life, an easy access to get tickets to the upcoming events and the attractions in Sharjah. Saad, it was amazing having you with us today. And thank you so much for being here. I hope you had a great experience as well.
I did. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for tuning in. If you're inspired to start your own venture or want to learn more about the vibrant business environment in Sharjah, follow us on all social media channels and tune in for more episodes.